Same storm complex yesterday brought a deadly tornado to Mississippi.
And we have our own Keith Carson. He's standing live in Columbia, Mississippi, and he's going to give us a first-hand account of some of the damage left behind. It looks like this time you have a guest with us. It looks like somebody from NOAA, and we want to hear more about this tornado.
Yeah, Jen, you're right. This is Steve Wilkinson with the National Weather Service out of Jackson, Mississippi. Steve, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing out here this morning as far as the surveying.
Right. Well, obviously we've had a tornado, and what we want to do is look at the degree of damage. We want to see what kind of structures.
All right. I wish they would have
that were made and essentially try to give a estimated rating on how strong the tornado was. In addition to that, we will determine the length of it. Was it on the ground the whole time, all the way up to, areas far northeast of here where they had additional damage, and essentially how wide it was. So we're going to try to put all that together today.
Now, based on the radar images that you saw last evening, is this so far matching up to what you figured you'd see on the ground?
Yes, the radar signature that we saw last night or yesterday afternoon in the office showed a very strong tornado potential, and that's exactly what we're seeing right here, right now. Too early to say exactly what our rating is going to be. We've only been here a few minutes, but certainly the initial look that we see is a strong tornado somewhere in the F2, F3 range, probably at this point.
Now, Steve, something that stuck out to me, and I don't know if it did to you as well, is cinder block buildings that had been knocked over. Do you look into the strength of that construction as well? Because not all buildings are built the same, correct?
Sure. That's one of the kind of subjective parts of what we do. We have a program that helps us, say, take a particular type of structure, give us an idea of what kind of winds it would take to do that damage, and then we kind of have to look at how well it was built. A lot of things aren't built very well, they're very old, and so something that maybe is completely torn up, if it's well built, would give a higher wind rating than something that's very old.
Sure.
and is maybe coming apart very easily.
Okay. All right, thank you, Steve. We appreciate the work you do.
Sure,
you're
welcome.
We'll be looking forward to that report from him. So National Weather Service out here, we'll be hearing from them coming in the next weeks or so about what this tornado exactly was. We know, Mike, at this point, obviously, it was a strong one and unfortunately a fatal one as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, just terrible timing here, Keith, knowing that we're at Christmas Eve right now. A lot of folks are cleaning up instead of celebrating the holidays with family and friends. So let's get you in front of the weather that we're following for you today. Of course, Christmas travel forecast is very important to millions of you. We've got a larger storm complex here in the west that's taking shape with rain in San Francisco and up I-5 here into Seattle. More snow will develop here across the Rockies. And look at the big complex we've got going on in the east here with strong thunderstorms from Florida all the way up through New England. All right, second story that we're following for this travel mess in New England with a solid 1 to 2 inches in a lot of places here, and maybe some embedded squall lines within that as well. But a real slowdown for you if you're traveling today with the heavy rain. Just be extra careful today. Maybe a quick stop at the auto parts store to pick up some new windshield wipers, and you'll be good to go today. Notice to the south, we've got a severe weather threat here from Florida up through Georgia, through the Carolinas. Hail, winds, isolated tornadoes could be an issue for us as well. There's a look at the radar, and you can see squall lines here racing through South Georgia and North Florida. We saw that squall line with Mike Seidel coming through Tallahassee right now. But the bigger storm may actually be just slightly north of Mike, coming across I-75 right now, and then 16 towards Savannah. Waycross and Brunswick will be next in line. We'll time this out for you. In Douglas, 9:52 is when it'll be there. In Adele, about 10 o'clock. And in Jessup, just after 11 o'clock, that squall line will be there. Anticipate very high winds with that storm as it gusts out in front of it, maybe 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Here's a look at the large area where we have a tornado watch that extends from the Panhandle of Florida up through Charleston, South Carolina. That's until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And it means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop. They may not be happening right at this moment. A warning will indicate you of that, but a watch just lets you know and gives you the heads up they could be coming your way. Mild temperatures ahead of our system. It's 72 degrees right now in Charleston. Not the type of Christmas Eve weather we anticipate, but notice the storms through the day roll their way eastbound. Squall line, middle of the day, coming right along I-75 and I-10, then Jacksonville about 5:30 this evening as the storms go off the coast here. We think that by your evening dinner time, things get a lot better for you here. Improved conditions, and notice here the storm systems across the south will extend all the way through North Carolina and then farther northbound. For those impacts, let's check in with Jen. Jen.
I'll pick it up from there, and we start off right now looking live in Richmond, Virginia. They are getting hammered there. In the last hour, they've picked up 0.85 inches of rainfall. The roadways are just going to be looking at areas of some ponding out there, so make sure you're taking it slow. This is a busy stretch through Richmond, Virginia. Good morning to you, Richmond. Hard to believe this is Christmas Eve, and when you're going to be looking at the radar across parts of the Northeast, you're going to see why, because rain has just really taken over. Look at that. For areas like Petersburg and Virginia, just getting hammered with the heavier rainfall. Well, it has to go somewhere, and it's going to be making its way up towards the north. Already in parts of Virginia, they've picked up an inch of rainfall. Anywhere in these areas, we're talking, we could see about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. Even into New York City, it's going to get heavier as we go later into the day. Of course, that's going to mean delays for you travelers. We timed this out from the afternoon hours. Notice it picks up in intensity, and by later on tonight, by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, D.C., you're going to see the heaviest rainfall coming to an end. In the morning, this front is going to be working its way in. You see the clearing there? Well, that's going to allow for a brightening of the sky on Christmas Day. And we're also going to be looking at some strong winds. On Christmas Day, the rain will be hugging into areas like New England, but drying out across parts of the Northeast. And that's certainly some good news. It's also going to be rather mild for this time of the year. Well, right now, we want to turn it over to Anna Rittis for more with your headline.
Good morning, Jen. Good morning to you at home. We begin in the Midwest. Tensions are high near Ferguson, Missouri, where a police officer shot and killed an 18-year-old overnight. Police say an officer approached two men and one pointed a gun at the officer. Police say then the officer, fearing for his life, fired shots, killing one of them. As you can see, the chaos that ensued thereafter. The shooting comes after weeks of protest against a grand jury's decision not to indict another officer who shot and killed an unarmed teenager. Former President George H.W. Bush in a Houston hospital this morning. He was rushed there by ambulance last night after experiencing a shortness of breath. His spokesman said it was just a precaution. It's unclear when the 90-year-old Bush will be allowed to go home. And here's a shot for you of Santa in the Florida Keys. Maybe he's there because more people now live in Florida than New York City. You heard that. Than New York altogether, actually. According to a new U.S. Census report, Florida is now considered to have the third highest population behind California, then Texas. New York is now fourth. As Jen said, what? I crunched the numbers, guys. I went back and looked at the database, and in the last 12 months before July of 2014, 300,000 people moved to Florida compared to 50,000 in New York. So
did they all move out right around winter time? They're like, hey, we're out of here.
Yeah,
What they have there?
Sun and warm
sand.
temperature.
So no wonder they're gone.
Not a bad trade-off.
Hey, still to come, White Christmas? Tom Nizzle has the answer next.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, a mix of clouds and sun. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 83. Tonight, variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms. Low 68. Chance of rain 60%. Thursday, chance of a morning shower. Mostly cloudy skies. High 75. Winds north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hurricanes, floods, I've seen tornadoes. We give out Duracell batteries after the worst happens. And when the power's out for days, we stay with them. You might say they lost everything, but that's not what I see. I see a different kind of power. I saw it in Ruth, Adam, Tom. It's the power they have inside of them. The power to move forward.
At Duracell, We believe that's the power that never, ever goes out.
All right, listen up. Out on that field today, you will be ready for anything. And I want you to always remember, this is the greatest team you will ever be part of.
There's important work to be done. And only some able to do it. Can you make the cut?
Sweetie, I'd love a hazelnut.
Mom, Dad, Big Uncle Wayne.
Hot chocolate.
Green tea.
Decaf, cuz.
Wow.
I'm dying for herbal tea.
The all-new Keurig 2.0.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more in car insurance.
I knows that.
Well, did you know that former pro football player Ickey Woods will celebrate almost anything?
Number 44. Woo! 44, that's me!
Get some cold cuts, get some cold cuts, get some cold cuts.
Woo! Give me some!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
44, ladies, that's me! Woo! Gonna get some cold cuts today. Sir, we're gonna need you on the runway.
Theraflu starts to get to work in your body in just 5 minutes. Theraflu breaks you free from your worst cold and flu symptoms. Theraflu, serious power.
Dad, I know I haven't said this often enough, but thank you.
Thank you, Mom, for protecting my future.
Thank you for being my hero and my dad.
Military families are uniquely thankful for many things. The legacy of USAA Auto Insurance could be one of them. If you're a current or former military member or their family, get an auto insurance quote and see why 92% of our members plan to stay for life.
Nourished. Rescued. Protected. Given new hope. During the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru owners feel it too. Because when you take home a new Subaru, we donate $250 to helping those in need. We'll have given $50 million over 7 years. Love, it's what makes a Subaru.
New Move Free Ultra brings a revolution to joint health. It's the smallest joint health pill, now with a new triple action formula for joint, cartilage, and bone health. Move on to new Move Free Ultra.
There were no injuries. There were approximately 30 children inside the building when the tornado hit, and it just took the tin roof off the building. They evacuated to Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank provided shelter for us, too. We've got a few trees down here and there, but nothing major.
Well, thankfully, no one hurt here in Summerall, Mississippi, but emergency workers are out in force today across the southern part of that state. Some of the damage is very obvious here. Thousands without power near Jackson. Mississippi's governor has declared an emergency for 2 counties. There are now flash flood warnings in southeast Alabama. Well, that state of emergency issued for Jones and Marion counties following deadly storms hitting just before Christmas. The governor offering condolences, saying, quote, "Our thoughts with those affected by severe weather that pushed through the state." And joining us on the phone right now is Brett Carr with Mississippi's Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Carr, thanks for being with us this morning. A lot of damage, debris, flooding, road closures. What's the priority right now in Mississippi?
Sure. First off, we want to say that our hearts and prayers go out to those that lost loved ones yesterday. Our main priority today is to go out and do these damage assessments to see exactly how much damage there is, kind of quantify those numbers, and also just to see what types of assistance might be available to those that had damage to their home and business. If people need shelter, they need food, water, is that going to be available for them? Absolutely. There is the Red Cross worked with the Mississippi Department of Human Services and our agency, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, to open a shelter last night here near Columbia for the folks that needed someplace warm to go, maybe needed to spend the night. And so we're going to take care of everyone. We're going to address their immediate needs to make sure that everything is taken care of. Will there be any need, do you think, for something like a curfew to be in effect in a place like Columbia? They did have a curfew in effect here last night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. They'll do what they have to do here. There's still a lot of dangerous things on the ground, lots of trees and power lines down. So they're going to do everything they have to do to keep people safe here.
All right, that's Brett Carr joining us this morning, Mississippi's Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Carr, thanks for being with us. We're going to turn now over to Jen and Anna Riz with a little bit more.
And you're right. We're going to talk more about the heavy rain, the wind that will continue to impact airlines today. And we're talking a canceled flight can quickly turn your Christmas from a Merry Christmas to just a merry madness, right?
With us this
Not
morning,
so merry.
No. With us this morning is Ron Burley, a consumer advocate and the author of Unscrewed, the consumer's guide to getting what you paid for, with tips on what you can do, the type of recourse that you may have. So let's start with just around 220 cancellations so far this morning. If you're one of those people whose flight was canceled because of weather, what can you do right now?
Well, Jennifer, Anna, first of all, thanks for having me on. I've been watching the flights today. It's potentially a real mess for people getting to their destinations. You know, the first thing you need to do is realize that weather is one of these things airlines protect themselves from. So you don't have a lot of rights. The best thing you can do is act quickly. You don't want to stand in the customer service line, that long line in the airport. You don't want to get on the internet. What you want to do is get on your phone right away. And this is the time that you want to use that concierge service from your credit card, something like that. But get on the phone, get at the head of the line. That way you're going to make sure that you're maybe the first one with the best chance to get on a flight.
You know, and absolutely. And, you know, here's the other problem. Sometimes you're trying to save a couple bucks and you go on Expedia or Orbitz. Now, what do you do? Because I know a lot of times they say, oh, well, you need to call them instead of going directly to the airline.
Well, the problem with Orbitz and Expedia, of course, is that you're buying the lowest possible price ticket, and you are at the back of the line. If you've already done it, there's not a lot you can do except get on that phone again. And what you want to do is maybe think a little creatively. Instead of trying to get from point A to B, let's say you're going from Chicago to San Diego routed through Denver. See if you can get routed through Dallas instead, or even Miami. I mean, what you want to do is get to your destination. On the other hand, it's better if you're thinking that you need to get to somewhere right away. When you're booking the ticket, think, I'm going to book directly with the airline, because those online travel services, they do put you at the back of the line.
All right, Ron Burley, author of Unscrewed, the consumer's guide to getting what you paid for. Thank you so much for talking with us this morning.
Yeah, some great advice, especially today when there are so many flight delays out there. Well, coming up, we are going to continue to track our next major winter storm. It's been named. This is Eris out in the west, and we're going to let you know when and where that's going to be bringing snow. And also, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10:30 for parts of Florida just to the east of Tallahassee. Stay with us.
We have a situation.
We're gonna need a black hat hacker named Hathaway.
The U.S. government would like your technical advice.
A cyber attack targeted a nuclear reactor.
He'll take out a city and not think twice about it. You get discovered, you're dead meat.
Isn't that why you brought me here? This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R, in theaters January 16th.
This week on the Weather Channel Mornings, we're tracking a major winter storm that could bring torrential rain or snow to much of the country, affecting the plans for millions of holiday travelers. Stay weather ready this holiday. All this week on Wake Up with Al and America's Morning Headquarters, only on the Weather Channel Mornings.
Every Sunday night. Get down now! Prospectors, the $1 Million Mountain. Sundays at 9 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, a mix of clouds and sun. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 83. Tonight, variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms. Low 68. Chance of rain 60%. Thursday, chance of a morning shower. Mostly cloudy skies. High 75. Winds north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Game night.
Oh, it's a house and a car. So far, you're horrible at this, Flo. You got no talent for drawing, Flo. House, car. Oh, raise the roof. No one? Remember when we used to raise the roof, Diane? Oh, quiet, Richard. I'm trying to make sense of Flo's terrible drawing. I'll draw the pants off that thing. Oh, hats on hamburgers. Dancing. Drive-in movie theater. Home and auto. Squares. Lamp. Lines. Stupid, dumb. No! Home and auto bundle from Progressive. Saves you money. Yay, game night. So much fun.
New Move Free Ultra brings a revolution to joint health. It's the smallest joint health pill, now with a new triple action formula for joint, cartilage, and bone health. Move on to new Move Free Ultra.
Grandpa Bodie, Grandma said you used to be out of control.
Really? I guess I did take some risks. I trained a little bit differently. I was a little too honest sometimes. The media is useless.
You were out of control.
But not always.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see. I'm at risk of being told not to tell. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, I will fight for myself.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc.
Welcome back to QVC. Here's a great gift idea. It's perfect for that person on your list who loves to bake. In fact, it's a must-have in my kitchen when I get together with my niece and nephew and we make sweet treats for Santa and all of his reindeer.
Shipping and even pay the return postage. Try NoNo risk-free today.
The wildest weather ever caught on camera.
Oh my God!
Tonight, tomorrow night, every weeknight, wild weather at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Welcome back to AMHQ. It's 50 minutes past 9 o'clock, and from a very gloomy northeast section, we are at LaGuardia International Airport. And as you see behind me, we got the rain, the windshield wipers going, and then the cloud cover. What does that mean? A recipe for delays at the airports. We are experiencing a delay here at LaGuardia International Airport. It's a ground stop. I'm not going to go much further than that because I'm with Greg Morris right now. He's a commercial airline pilot. He has the pulse of all the airlines. When a ground stop, what does that mean?
Well, Reagan, what it means is that airplanes that are on the ground headed for a particular destination, in fact today in LaGuardia, are frozen in place on the ground. They're not going to be released into the air. A ground delay, however, is something very different. That's metering traffic going into and out of a given direction.
Okay, and I heard that a ground delay, according to the FAA.gov, is at Philadelphia International Airport. They're dealing with an hour right now. That's in Philadelphia.
We're going to see delays very similar to what we saw yesterday in and out of the New York metropolitan area, including Philadelphia. The ground stop in LaGuardia, the update comes at 10 o'clock. We can expect delays at Philly, Newark, Kennedy, and LaGuardia in the range of 1 to 2 hour all day long.
Okay, perfect. So that is a commercial airline pilot. You heard it first, JFK, and also Newark, you're having a gate hold. 30 minutes and rising. So now we're going to go from the air here to the ground to Mike Seidel in Tallahassee, Florida, where he's dealing with weather as well, but just a lot of rain. Mike?
Yes, indeed, Reagan. More rain this morning on top of a ground that was hit by the wettest day in December history here in Tallahassee. We had almost 7.5 inches yesterday, 7.44. The squall line came through, not a whole lot of wind, but another torrential downpour. We'll show you that. We've got the tape back at work. We'll get that on for you in a few minutes at 10 Eastern. Well, what happens is the water just runs over the top of the ground because it's like a sponge. You can't hold anymore and down into this culvert here. And it's just been rolling right up here along Interstate 10. Traffic moving fine. They had to slow down during that downpour, but the speeds are back up, probably faster than they should be driving here on this Christmas Eve. We still have the tornado watch, the flash flood watch till 1. These will all be dropped or cut back. The tornado watch probably will not last officially here till 2. Farther east it will. And then by this afternoon, we'll start to feel the drier, somewhat cooler air come in. By dinner time, down around 60. Tomorrow, a beautiful Christmas day with sunny skies, average high 64. And Mike Bettis will do about a 61 tomorrow, then back up close to 70 for the 26th. Mike?
All right, Mike, thank you for that very much. There's another area of the country we want to focus on because it could bring you what you want for Christmas, and that's a white Christmas. Our winter weather expert Tom Nizzle's here. A lot of people want a white Christmas, right? And we're going to give it to them in the West.
Absolutely. Winter recreationalists out there in the West are going to love this forecast. We have named this winter storm for the amount of snow in the area that it's covering. It is going to actually already, we have warnings out for 2.3 million people. That beats our criteria of 2 million, so that's the reason it's been named.
All right, so we have Winter Storm Eris, E-R-I-S is the name of this storm, and these all the areas highlighted in blue are going to get some sort of winter weather.
Yeah, Mike, and the darkest blue are the winter storm warnings, including that I-15 corridor, Provo, Ogden, Salt Lake City. A lot of people in that area. And just about an hour ago, Denver has actually upped the Denver area, the National Weather Service office, to a winter storm watch. They could get a little upslope flow later on Christmas Day, and that could put a few inches right along the Front Range up through Boulder.
How's this all come together, Tom?
Oh, gosh, it's an interesting setup here. We've got a short wave in the atmosphere here, a little ripple in the atmosphere, and that is associated with some energy higher up in the atmosphere. That is going to cross into the northwest and across the Intermountain West here. That provides the lift to turn that moisture into precipitation, and there will be enough cold air in place with this system to also produce snowfall across that area. So there is your setup going into Christmas Day.
And it gets cold even down to Vegas. It gets cold down through Southern California and eventually through Phoenix maybe as well. But the snow, as it plays out, you know, by tomorrow morning when people wake up or Christmas morning in Salt Lake City or maybe Jackson Hole, it is a winter wonderland.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, with a few inches forecast for the Valley area, this could be a top 5 Christmas Day snow event for Salt Lake City.
Oh, wow. They are thanking you right now. Then it pushes east, so Wyoming, Colorado, the Dakotas. Could wind be something that factors into this as well?
Certainly at higher elevations, winds will factor into it. At the lower elevations, not as much. This is not that kind of wound-up system at that point. But again, that Denver Front Range corridor in here later in the day and into Christmas night, that's the area that could get a little enhancement with what we call upslope flow.
All right, total accumulations here in some spots could be as much as a foot. Telluride, they'll have great skiing there. A lot of the Colorado resorts will be great. Same in Utah.
That is great news. And again, in the city, Salt Lake City itself and over into Denver, we're going to have to watch for some travel issues Christmas Day into Christmas night. Denver right now, our computer models are suggesting 3 to 4 inches of snow in the city itself. Salt Lake City, 3 to 7, somewhere in that range down in the valley. The benches double digits. And by the way, Mike, for recreationalists in particular, the air is going to stay cold going into next week. So for skiing, it's going to be fantastic.
So there may not be a whole lot of melt and maybe more chances for snow coming down the pike, but there it is. Tom's giving it to us. Snow on Christmas Day, Christmas evening. So thumbs up for that white Christmas here in the Wasatch.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of weather out there and a lot of delays.
It's been great having you this morning, Jen. Happy holidays to you at home. Alex Wilson, Chris Warren, pick it up from here on Weather Channel Live.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, a mix of clouds and sun. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 83. Tonight, variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms. Low 68. Chance of rain 60%. Thursday, chance of a morning shower. Mostly cloudy skies. High 75. Winds north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
It is the day before Christmas, and weather is stirring all across the country.
Yeah, it is. And whether you're on the road or in the air, there's a lot going on that could affect your holiday travel. Wind, rain, snow, strong storms. We're going to break down the timing on this Christmas Eve.
Well, the sun has risen fully here in Mississippi, and the tornado damage has been strong during the overnight hours. We'll take a look at it and talk about what the National Weather Service has to say about this particular system.
The airport line's already starting to build in New York, and that's before the rain moves in. We're hitting all the major travel hubs next on Weather Center Live.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chris Warren.
And I'm Alex Wilson. Take a look. Lit up like a Christmas tree. You're looking at all sorts of advisories, warnings, watches posted across the entire U.S.
Yeah, each one of these represents a potential hazard for different spots in the country on what is generally a day people like to spend with their family, but a lot of people do have to be out traveling. Flooding a concern with the heavy rain. There's also some snow and even the threat for tornadoes.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of everything. So let's take a look at the major travel hubs. All of them will get some type of weather today. New York City, look at your weather right now. You've got fog. Atlanta also dealing with a foggy picture from Coca-Cola World Headquarters. Washington, D.C., we're anticipating problems for you. Same for Chicago. We're going to have that travel information constantly updating for HD viewers on the bottom right-hand side of your screen.
That's right. We're going to have that up all the way through New Year's. And we're going to go in depth on today's travel in just a minute. But first, an update on a very unfortunate event. On this Christmas Eve, daylight revealing the full extent of the damage from a tornado. This tornado was caught on camera in Ellisville, north of Hattiesburg.
4 people died, more than 50 are hurt. Today, the governor plans to tour the damage. Buildings and homes are now rubble, and vehicles were tossed on their tops by this powerful system.
Meteorologist Keith Carson joins us live from Columbia, Mississippi, the hardest hit community. And Keith, it's tough for people to deal with any day of the year, but this damage coming on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Chris, you really can't underestimate that part of the whole story. As you mentioned, any day of the year you don't want a tornado in your town, but here it is on Christmas Eve and people are trying to pick up some of the pieces. The scene here has gotten a lot more active. We showed up in the early morning hours and it was hard to tell the full extent of what has gone on here. You could obviously see sheet metal here. There's some up here being wrapped around some of these poles. We also saw a lot of sheet metal on the way here that was wrapped around trees. In addition, back here is something that was really interesting to me, is that we also had cinder blocks down, and that's something that really immediately caught my eye, because you're looking for what kind of structure did this tornado take down. So is it wood frame, is it a mobile home, or is it a cinder block or brick structure? So in this case, cinder block part of this building knocked completely down, and that caught my attention right away. We have a wrought iron fence also thrown around, and in the mix here, by the way, it might be hard for you to see, but in the mix is a power pole. So this is a city, or a town more specifically, that around 6,000 people, and pretty much all of them in the dark last night. Driving through the town early this morning, there was really no light to be had. Power crews doing their best to get things restored, and unfortunately that's only part of the story. We also had injuries that surpassed the amount of capacity for this hospital nearby. There's 49 beds and the nearest hospital about 2 miles away, and we had over 50 people injured last night. So obviously that became a problem. They were running on generators to begin with, and so we had a real issue last night. They transferred a lot of those patients, and some of them have since been released. So Alex, yeah, a really tough way to start your Christmas holiday. Hopefully we can get that spirit going. People help each other out and get things rebuilding.
Of course, I imagine a lot of people will be rallying behind these business owners that lost what they have. Thank you so much, Keith. We'll be checking in with you again soon. Got to talk about where the severe threat is now. We're not done today, or at least until 2 o'clock. We have a tornado watch in effect for parts of the Florida Panhandle, getting into southeast Georgia, even up into parts of coastal South Carolina. That includes the Charleston area. Here's what we've got now as far as warnings, flash flood warnings. Those are in green. The severe thunderstorm warning is in yellow. We look around the Tallahassee area. Yesterday, rainiest December day on record with over 7 inches of rain. Still have rain in the area. Now it's off towards the east of Tallahassee that we do have this severe thunderstorm warning. Jefferson and Leon counties under that. Further up to the north, you can see the storms are rolling through parts of Georgia and South Carolina. They'll be heading towards Savannah and Charleston. Forecast for today, areas in red hold the best chance of seeing the severe weather. Chris.
Alex, to the west now, and it's not only going to be a white Christmas for millions, but a winter storm could bring nearly a foot of snow to some places, and that's why we've named our 5th winter storm of the season. Eris is that name. And Tom Nizzle is in the lab right now with an update. Hello to you, Tom.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, Eris is going to pack a punch. It's operating on a very large scale, and it's going to impact a fair number of people. When we look at the population criteria, we name winter storms when we get to 2 million people under our criteria. And right now, we're at 2.3 million people that are under thresholds for winter weather warnings from the National Weather Service. Let's take a quick look at the map here. The warnings include Salt Lake City and that I-15 corridor that runs from Provo, Ogden, in through Salt Lake City. Now, over here out to the east, the National Weather Service office in Denver has just upgraded to winter storm watches going into the Christmas Day and Christmas evening time frame. So we're going to have to watch that carefully as well. This is the short wave in the atmosphere, and along with that wave in the atmosphere, there's energy that is going to be moving across the Intermountain West here. That will act to provide lift in the atmosphere to turn moisture into precipitation. And there also is going to be enough cold air across this part of the nation to turn that into snowfall. As a result of that, we're going to end up with a widespread winter storm. We start out with the rain coming into the Pacific Northwest, and it really lights up into snow here in places like Salt Lake City going into Christmas morning. Into Christmas afternoon and evening, this storm will transfer across the Rockies, and we'll begin to see snow in the Denver area. And then during the day on Friday, it'll work its way out into the plains, but it will weaken significantly by then. Snowfall totals, certainly going to see double-digit totals across the Wasatch and the Tetons into places like Salt Lake City itself, enough snow to possibly put it into a top 5 Christmas snowfall for Salt Lake City. So, guys, we'll keep you updated on Winter Storm Eris. When we come back, we'll talk about the East as well. Send it back to you.
Thanks, Tom. Millions of people on the road and in the air and right in a messy storm system.
Today, the East Coast will be in the bullseye. Airport delays are already stacking up in New York. We'll break it down next.
The Lab is brought to you by State Farm. When nature strikes, State Farm is there to get you to a better state.
Andrew, Rita, Sandy. Meet Chris, Jackie, Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Hold for the picture.